righty. We're going back to Genesis, and we're going to go back to chapter 49, and I'm going to read it out of the translation that we're all familiar with, given here, and then we'll hear it from another way. It says, "And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel. Because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defiledst thou it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly. Mine honor, be not thou united." Let me read that again. "Mine honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they digged down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. For from the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet unto Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be, binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass's coat unto the choice vine. He washeth his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth shall be white with milk. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Issachar is a strong ass, couching down between two burdens. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant. And he bowed his shoulder to bear, and he became a servant unto tribute. That means basically, and we'll get into it in another, he worked. He was a good provider for his family. He worked in season, out of season. And he not only provided for his family, but he provided for others. But he started with his family. Keep that in mind. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. Gad, A troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. That's another thing when Pastor Hodge was talking about competition. Sometimes, men, you're going to feel like there are more against you than are for you. And that's true, as far as we can see. But as we continue to correctly walk out the teachings and instructions which were given for us to live by, they are not a subject matter that you're to learn like you learn trigonometry or algebra or science or history, where you go to another house of worship and you try to impress people with how much scripture you know. The instructions were given to live by, and they were not a suggestion. They are a commandment. Some of you have a military background. How many times when you got an order, you say, well, you know, I'll think about that. Let me get back to you. I want to wash my car. I wonder how many times you got away with something like that, if ever. You see, men part of our function was, at his direction, we were to live a life where we would be ready to go to war upon his instruction. In this land, we've gotten kind of soft. I said we, I didn't say you. I said we've gotten kind of soft. And a lot of the challenges, I'll put it that way, a lot of the challenges that we're having with our, sometimes our better halves, or the sisters, you know, I hate to say it, but it's our fault. And you're going to have to come out on Friday to find out why I say that. And I'm telling you this too, seriously, and I'm not throwing shade. If you fell into one of those three categories that I talked about earlier, you need to come on every other Friday. The men of this house have to form a bond for the things that are coming ahead for this particular fellowship. My father and my mother were not designed to fight the fight by themselves. And your parents that went here, came here, that have gone on to glory, same thing. Some of you remember Pastor, he tried to get a men's group started, and in our day it was pretty good. But we never got to where the type of bond was forged that was needed to where we truly were brothers. Like I said, I mean, I know a lot is going on. I don't know exactly what's going on, but a lot is going on in the different households. And when I talk about households, I'm not just talking about your household. I'm talking about your children's households as well. See, when I'm talking family, I'm not just talking about the families that you and your wife produce. We're going to get back to Listen, when their father called them all together, he knew he was getting ready to leave. And he wanted to have an honest moment with each one of his sons. And remember, yes, as we read about it, yes, Joseph forgave his brothers, and they went and they told their father the truth that Joseph was still alive. And of course, the father was overjoyed. But again, see, I try to keep reminding you that these were people. A lot of times we read the scriptures and we get this, and it's not totally our fault. It's because of the way it's been taught. We think there's some kind of superhero. Remember I said when they were about to go back to tell their father, Joseph said, listen, don't argue among yourselves. And he said that for a reason, because he knew how they were. Because sometimes he was the reason they were arguing. Because when the Most High would share things with him, and then he would tell his dad, and his dad would say, yes, that's nice, son, but let's just keep that between us. But you know how we are sometimes. We're going to tell somebody, and if it's real good, we're going to kind of brag about it. I kept saying, hey, let us watch our spending. And you're saying, well, Barry, look like you all over the place. No, I'm still in the same vein that I've always been in. When I first said almost 2 years ago, that this year was going to be kind of crazy, and it's going to get even more crazy. But to get us through, we're going to have to make sure we're getting the same marching orders and that we're in lockstep together for the whole congregation. See, another challenge we're having is we feel that too many of our women are too masculine. That's our fault too. And again, I'll be glad to explain that to you on Friday, the Friday that we meet. And I said one Wednesday night, and I sometimes I try to make sure I don't. Wednesday night is for something else. But I made a statement about the very atmosphere we have today is a result of what happened in the Garden of Eden. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And that's our fault. and I'm not, listen, when I use the word fault, we missed the mark, gentlemen. We missed the mark. What does all this have to do with Jacob calling all his sons, reading their mail before he shut his eyes? Everything. Because, see, some of us didn't get the privilege of having to sit down with our fathers before they left. you know. Some of us, unfortunately, maybe don't have maybe the best relationship with our Father. Some of us don't know who, might not know who our Father is. And I'm saying that has more of an effect on us than we know. That can have, this thing is deep. And what I'm trying to convey to you is wherever there's a lacking in your heart, even in your prayer, wherever there's a lacking because of possible disconnect, where fathers were concerned. Of course, the Father, he can mend anything. But he's got the rest of us here, and we can help each other if we'll be honest with one another. Joseph, with all the stuff he went through, Joseph got real about Joseph. Jacob, or Israel, Jacob was a trickster early on in his youth. But once his character changed, the Most High changed his name from Jacob to Israel, which denotes a change in character. So, nowadays we could, pay $150 and change our name. Anybody can do that. In fact, a lot of people do that. And, but does that denote a change in character? Or are you running away from something? Or are you hiding? What was the reason behind the name change? Not that you owe me or anybody an explanation. But I'm saying that because people, we study stuff in the Bible and we go, well, okay, he did that, so I'm going to do that. But it's not supposed to go that way, folks. But church system tells you you can be whatever you want to be. And if they don't see your greatness, go move somewhere else. That's not accurate, folks. What is it? Some are called, some are sent, but most just went. And when you got all of that kind of stuff working on, that's why we're in the shape we're in. Most of us, we don't even understand the importance of saints coming together. Now, sure as you're born, I'm not flipping on you. In my youth, I thought I had all the church I wanted. And folks, we're at a stage in life where you got to make all your time count. If you're going to come, and come when you can. Come and arrive safely. But purpose it in your heart to get something from coming, not just coming because we've been trained to come to church. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Whatever time, if you decide you're going to eat together as a family, do that and put some effort into it. We've become too casual about everything, and it's ruining stuff. Stuff just don't mean much anymore, and it's not supposed to be that way. And please don't misunderstand. I'm not saying every time these doors open, you got to be here. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes something's going on and you need to be there. And now that I am functioning, I would rather you take care of home rather than think it's important you be here. I'm serious. I'm serious. Folks, in a very, very short while, we're going to be glad that we got at least one or two good quality people in our lives. I'm serious. I'm serious as a heart attack. But let me say this too, because I know a lot of times people be like, boy, he's so gloom and doom. Look, it don't matter. He's going to bring us through. But, you know, the back of my pants might be a hole in it. You know, I got too close to the flame, or the flame got too close to me. I got out, but now that, you know, my backside is exposed. What am I saying? I'm saying in the battle, we might get a few lumps and bruises. See, you know, listen. Yes, you know, we read the word and when the victory is ours. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, even in winning, sometimes you take a few jabs yourself. I mean, if you're in a fight, you got to bring some to get some. You know, as great as he was, Muhammad Ali got hit too. Now, he won more than he lost, but he got hit. And let me say this, when I'm talking about fighting, I'm not necessarily talking about physical confrontation. But I think John's wife, Mary said something about that confrontation was coming. You know, good versus evil. Yes, that's coming. But men and ladies too, are we going to just kind of, I don't want to bother nobody. I want to keep the peace. That kind of peace is false. That's not real peace. All kind of fluky stuff going on. And we don't want to say nothing because we love everybody. What, you know, again, let's look up that word love from the Most High's vantage point, not this wishy-washy stuff that's going on in all over everywhere. I told you, I'm waiting. Pretty soon somebody going to say they can marry an animal and ain't nothing somebody can do about it. It's getting crazier and crazier. We're more loony and loony. The one that's stirring up the pot is the same one that's going to bring us through. But folks, if we won't follow the instructions, we will continue to live a life of sacrifice. And he would rather we live lives of obedience. That's so important. Look at how he talked to his first, when he talked, man, he was so proud of Reuben when he first came in, because, you know, he was like, man, he was looking at him, and I'm sure he was handsome, strapping young man coming in there, and his dad can barely see good, but he could see good enough. Said, man, yes, you're the first of my youth. Man, I was something in my day. That's, and all guys think that, Well, most guys think that. Because nowadays, fellas, we have allowed the standards to be lowered, so it's sad. And let me say this. I'm talking we. I'm not standing before you like, I got it all together. I'm not saying it like that. Please don't take it that way. But I just see too much, I see us putting our energies in a lot of stuff that's, when the wind starts blowing, that stuff gonna blow right on down the street like a napkin or something. And that kind of stuff should not be coming from no man. Whatever you build, whatever you're working on, it need to be able to stand up against a strong blow, wind blow. If you call yourself a man. We have a responsibility that was given by the Most High, and we can't give it away to somebody else. And Lord knows you don't let womankind walk in your role. That's an abomination to the Most High. Trying to keep the peace. What kind of peace? When we get our houses in order, and when I say our houses, I'm talking about us. My oldest brother, Ron, I used to think he was kind of hard on me. But no, he was really doing me a favor. Of course, it wasn't pleasant at the time, but because I was the smallest of my brothers, but I was probably the meanest, the one that would be quick to fight. But he used to he would go over to a guy and say, man, I bet you can't beat that little skinny guy over there. Used to make me some kind of mad. I just wanted to play. And sometimes those stupid guys would believe him. And I'm not standing here saying that, I'm a tough guy, but I will fight. And so Ronnie knew that, and I would feel like, man, what are you doing? Well, what he was doing was, yeah, I'm gonna make sure you tough. My brother Danny had a good buddy of his. And y'all, I was the last one. All right, I'm going to tell it. This is embarrassing. I was the last one that stopped wetting the bed. So, you know, if I had an ego, that just went right out the window. But I'm sharing this with you because, you know, we've been taught and trained, just be nice, don't bother nobody. Man, the world looking for people like that. And so Dan told his best friend, I'm not going to go call the guy's name because he might still be alive. And we were outside. We were playing football or whatever. And the dude, he wouldn't even call me by my name. He said, hey, P, baby. Oh, I ain't say nothing the first time because, you know, I'm trying to play it off. Now, all the guys out there, we playing football, y'all. And he said it one time too many. And man, we got to fight. He was taller than me. He was bigger than me. He went home and got his uncle. And when his uncle saw me, I went home. They come and they ring my folks' door because, you know, his uncle won't see, well, you know, what's this going on here? And when I came to that door, his uncle fell down laughing at him. He said, that guy tore you up? See, but, and I'm saying this, I'm not abdicating fighting. What I'm saying, saints, is, particularly I'm talking to the men, it's all right. If you want to be a nice guy, that's fine. But you need to carry yourself in such a way that people don't take you for a joke. Particularly if you say you serve the true and living God. They need to know it's a certain type of man that serves the true and the living God. And he's not some henpecked, mamby-pamby pushover that just gets me going. It's not right. We're misrepresenting who we said we serve. I'm telling you, we were made for his direction if we have to go to war. Any of you remember when, I think it was with Gideon, and they were getting ready to go to war, and some of the guys had just got married. So the Most High said, well, look, you got too many. So he said, well, all the guys that just got married, send them home. Because guess what? They ain't want to fight no way. They wanted to be on their honeymoon. And I understand that. We understand that. We understand. Ain't nobody going to think any less of you. So the Most High said, tell them to go home. So they all went home. And they were getting ready to go to war. And they were getting ready to go to war against, they were already outnumbered, but the Most High said, no, you got too many still. And I'm sure he was like, what? It's more of them than us. And now you want me to. So then he said, okay, you still got too many. So then I think he said, the guys that drink, that go down to drink, and I think they cup their hands a certain way, they drink the water, send them jokers home. See, because he knew they're not going to fight. They're not going to fight. Don't answer. Any of you ever been in a situation where stuff went down and the guys you were with, you found out who really was with you, and you found out some of them didn't have a heart. Now, when it come to chasing after the girls, they got plenty heart. But if them girls had a boyfriend and the boyfriend didn't appreciate that, you found out they had no heart. All I'm asking, straight up, cut to the chase, all I'm asking that the men that say they belong here be men. That's all I'm asking. Not for my sake, for our sake. For our sake. Don't just be a man when it's convenient. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words. That brother had good counsel. See, he knew the good and the bad of each one of his sons. And sometimes in life, that's the best thing that could happen to any of us, even when it's something you don't want to hear. Because if they're telling you to make you better, a better man. His instructions, it helps us be a better husband, a better father, a better uncle, a better grandfather. A better friend. You know, some of us have joined organizations. And probably what drew us to that was we thought, hey, you know, we're going to get in and it's going to be some brothers that we have like mind. And yeah, and you found out it wasn't quite that way. But you speak about your own fraternity. I'll speak about a fraternity. But I'm just saying, we're in a quest. We're looking for somebody we can bond with that's going to help us get through this thing. And I'm not talking about your helpmeet. When it talks about the elders in the gate getting together, that's what it's about. Men ought to get together. And we need to have one another's back, for real. For real. I don't, you know, see, part of the error with church system is got us all going in different directions. And we can't come together. We can come together, but we don't come together. Sometimes we hide behind work. Sometimes we hide behind family. Sometimes we hide just to hide. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Out of Asher, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is like a hind let loose. He give goodly words. Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough well, whose branches run over the wall. And I said it in times past. Can you imagine how proud his father was of him. Now, he loved all of his sons. He loved them all. But before he left, he had a little talk with each one of them. And I mean, you know, nothing would please my father and I had a moment. I think I shared this with y'all. He used to come to my house every Wednesday. And then after Arthur and I, we were talking, and then he would go to Arthur's house on another day. I said, what? And we're still learning a lot about him as we talk, because as most parents do, some things he might talk to me about, some things he'll talk to Arthur, he might talk to Daniel, he might talk to Sherry, he might talk to Ronnie, but what I found out was, well, I knew what things that I couldn't talk to him about, because it wouldn't end well. But it's you know, you miss that. You know, and I'm telling you this, I distinctly remember, it was on a Wednesday and he was getting ready to leave, and we had been talking, and mostly we was talking about EWC stuff, and I really wanted more father-son time with him, but you know, it was what it was. And it's not to say, listen, do not misunderstand. I learned more about being a man watching what he did, not what he taught. So I don't want anybody to get things mixed up. And a lot of times when you're really not in the situation, but you're around the situation, sometimes you tend to think, oh, I know how it was. No, you don't. Just like I really don't know what's going on in your households. And I'm not trying to know. Boundaries must always be respected. Good fences make good neighbors. Remember that. But we were talking, and I said to him, and this was the last Wednesday he had been to my house, and we were talking, and I said to him, because he would never answer me, and I said, well, Dad, are you happy? Because that's really all when you cut through all the chase, I just wanted him to be happy. Not do what I think he should do. I wanted him to be happy. But he would never answer. But I remember we were talking, and I said, well, you know, Pop, because sometimes I would get stuff just to kind of dig at him, because, you know, he didn't like when I used to say to y'all, I'd be at the club. I'd be in the club I said that on purpose just to kind of mess with him, because he didn't like that. No, I don't mean he didn't religiously like it. He just didn't think it sounded too good coming from somebody handling the word. I'm in the club every night, and I knew that, so I would do that, because that's the kind of knucklehead I can be sometimes. But we got to talking, and I said, well, you know, Dad, I just want you to be proud of me. And he looked, he said, boy, what are you talking about? He said, I've always been proud of you. But see, I never heard that. Now, you know, good job. He used to say, hey, son, uh, what he said, make hay during the day. You know, he would say stuff like that. And you see, you know, I won't have that closeness. I mean, you know, he's both of them there. Of course, they're in our hearts, you know. And we will always remember things that our parents have shared with us. But saints, I'm saying to you, we can have somewhat of a relationship like that here and now. But we got to put some effort in it. Some of us are a little too on the outside. Some of us are a little too cool. Until life happens. Then we get real. And it shouldn't be that way. See, yeah, we're here if trouble comes, but we would like to fellowship with you sometimes when things are good. See, some of us, when things are good, we got a whole nother set of people that we share that with. But when stuff hit the fan, I'm looking for church folk now. And see, that's not right. I'm not saying that people don't want to help you. I'm not saying that. See, but that's the way, see, the system teach you that's what the church is for. And there's nothing wrong with, listen, I have other friends too. So I'm not saying you can only have friends that go here. No, some of us don't get along. So I understand that. But church is more than just, or what we call church is more than just a dumping ground for the stuff that's unpleasant in your life. Sometimes we like to rejoice with you. And see, something else we don't learn. See, a lot of us, if you can forge a real relationship with a person, it's nice to know that somebody other than your blood relatives and sometimes other than the people in your home care. See, if we truly in the army, didn't that used to be a song? Yeah, I thought that was old. Yeah, okay. I ain't like that song. But that's all right. That don't matter. But see, there's something to that. See, listen. Every challenge you face, you don't have to face it alone. See, the beauty is when you got a challenge, you know in your heart, I'm in it to win it. But it's more comforting when you know I'm in it, I'm going to give it what I got, and my brother got my back. See, and I know another thing that we get that's not accurate. There's a little more to this. Remember, we always like to say it takes a village to raise a child. Do you know where that really came from? what that really came from was that in times of war, when the men had to go out to war, the promise was, if you fall in battle, we will take care of your family. That's where that come from. But see, somebody got a hold of it. It sounded good. And so now, and again, I'm not saying that that's not a possibility. But a lot of times we're saying things and we don't know where its origin came from. Torah teaches you also about the origin of a thing. And again, I'm not throwing shade. I'm trying to get you to see, man, a whole lot of stuff that we've been fed, some of it we might want to push it off our plate. But see, once you've gotten so into this, you think, oh, and a lot of times the deception is a lot of people think, I'm following God. No, you're following a system of teaching. And that's not the same thing. It is not the same thing. And then you'll have people say, Bray, look at what I've done. Yeah, hey, and again, wonderful. If that's your thing. Like I said earlier in my prayer, many of us traded his standards, which is Torah, which is his instructions, we traded it for social status. We traded it for social status. I'm Mr. and Ms. Got Rocks. Yeah, we started out on that little corner store, but now that I've arrived, I'm going over here now. Biff, call Hollingsworth and tell him we'll play polo at 3. We all caught up in that kind of stuff. And I'm going to throw this in, but I'm not getting political. Listen, do you see, how can I say this? Do you see the irony in how things are shaping up for November? I'm not talking about the individuals. I'm talking about the symbolism. But I'm talking about it in regards to Yah's order, not social. Because socially, it's crazier than a loon. But I'm saying, what is this you're saying to this country? Because see, again, we're not the only ones having problems. Creation is having problems. And it's the one that did the creating that's stirring the pot. He's stirring the pot. I was talking with one of my workers this morning, and I was like, man, you know, I've been trying to forecast or whatever, trying to plan, and I'm saying, man, you know, I just can't wait till all this mess is over, and da-da-da-da. And he said, did you eat this morning? I said, yeah. He said, are you going to eat when you go back home? I said, yeah. If you lie, you think you're going to eat tomorrow? I said, well, yeah, what? He said, well, why? Look. Why are you working yourself up? I mean, he said, really, what can you do? Well, you know, I got to. And I said, there's nothing I can do about it. I said, and I said, and then I made this deal. I made this deal with him in Houston. I said, you know, Father, you know, you can teach me another way. You don't have to, please don't touch my finances again. I'm going to do right. I'm going to do right by you. Let's make a deal. And so I thought we had a deal, except it came to me real clear this morning. He never said anything. He never said anything. He just let me bump my gums. So, I know I done stood up here and told y'all, well, some of us I see, Reg, some of us this might happen, some of us that might happen. And I said, man, I don't want to do this again. But I said, oh my, I said, yeah, he never said. And see, that's my story. What's your story? How many prayers have we prayed? And maybe he didn't answer. Or maybe he's just been silent. I don't know. Maybe he answers. I don't know. I know when I proposed that deal, he didn't just say we got a deal. And I just went on. I said, well, I'm going to do what I can to keep my part up. But I sure hope it ain't me. But I don't want it to be none of you either. I don't want it to be nobody. But saints, we're going to need each other, even though a lot of us might think, Barry, I'm not worried about nothing. I own the company. I'm the superstar where I work. The place can't run without me. He can shut the whole place down. People that are good with computers, they're losing those $300,000, $400,000 a year jobs left and right, and more cuts are slated to come. And I'm not picking on them. I'm just trying to say, listen, a lot of us sometimes we think, you don't know, I'm set. And we'll even say, I'm retired. I ain't got to worry about that mess. Listen. The government can be good, and the government can be unkind. And the thing we got to remember, regardless of which person holds that office, they are not running things. They are not running things. And I'm talking about for the United States. And again, I'm not making this political, but I'm trying to say, saints, regardless of what the crazies do, we got to have one another's back. We really do. I don't know if any of you remember, I see it's breaking down. I said some years ago, I said, some of us might have to be roommates. I don't know if anybody remember that. Well, Laura Burke proved that out. There were several people that she took in. And there are others, I don't know all of them. I wasn't joking then, and I'm not joking now. Car repossessions up. I see it, Reg. Car repossessions up. I've had the neighbor to my left move out, people across the street move out. What's going on? Stuff's happening, folks. Stuff's happening. We like to use that term family. And I still say family means different things to different people. But What I propose is that first, before we say we family, let's just try to be friends. Let's try to be friends first. He's going to see us through. But we got to use wisdom and listen. And I'm really going to sit down. Listen, in your quest to want to help, even use wisdom with that. Because what you don't want to do is have somebody trick you out of your hard-earned resources. And then when somebody that's maybe in the same camp as you needs help, we can't help them. Again, I'm not saying don't help people. I'm saying use wisdom. Please. And I'm going to close with this. In the desire to want to help, do not obligate one another for something you should be doing. Let me say that again. When it comes to helping, do not obligate one another for something that you should be doing. I hope that makes sense. God bless you.